let them dance.
40 years ago, those three words were music to the ears of teenagers.
In Elmore City, it meant they could dance at their prom. The true story became the movie Footloose.
Well, News 9's Dana Herknicki sat down with the real people who inspired the movie about what it was like to finally cut loose.
I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
It is possibly the most famous prom in pop culture history.
I can remember it was really hard to dance. There were so many cameras and TV cameras.
The celebration of a hard-fought battle.
There was a law against it in Elmore City.
To dance.
The first dance, nobody knew how to dance.
The true story, of course, became the iconic movie Footloose.
And at the time, I had no idea that, there was no dancing in Elmore City.
Leonard Coffey, who now works for the Rural Electric Cooperative in nearby Lindsay, was Marianne Temple's boyfriend back then. The Ariel character was based on Marianne, although Leonard maintains Ren was actually a combination of him and class president Rex Kennedy.
Instead of Rex and Leonard, it was Ren and Willard.
Rex took the lead in the fight. It was Leonard who wanted to dance.
I was like, wait a minute, this is a prom. We're supposed to dance.
But that fight would divide and eventually define the small southern Oklahoma town.
Every church preached against it on Sunday mornings.
Obscene rock and roll music.
But in a plot twist, you're not a preacher.
No, I'm not a preacher.
Raymond Temple, Marianne's dad, was actually the president of the school board and an ally of his daughter and their friends.
Dad was honestly the brains behind it all.
But because the topic was so contentious in the community, he didn't give the movie rights to his story and hasn't talked much about it publicly until now.
My motive was to keep those kids off that mountain.
The Temple Ranch outside of town overlooks a mountain where kids would go to drink and party on prom night. His home was also a popular hangout for Marianne and her classmates.
We would always just sit here and brainstorm about strategically how we could get a yes vote.
The decision to let kids dance was up to the Elmore City School Board.
We had to get at least two to agree to do it, and then Raymond cast the deciding vote as president.
I just let them dance. They hollered and they screamed. It was hundreds of people out there, parents, kids.
The real Footloose prom was actually held on school property, right here in this very cafeteria that the school still uses today.
We want one night, we want one day where these kids can be together, they can have fun, and they'll all be alive the next morning.
4 decades later, Elmore City still celebrates that decision with, what else? An annual street dance, sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce and the Footloose Festival. Still, 4 decades has not changed everyone's tune.
Quite honestly, the people that were diehard against it are still diehard against it.
But for that Elmore City junior class, they believe there's a reason the story of their 1980 prom remains a timeless classic.
And it gives everybody a little bit of hope that if these kids can change something, maybe I can too someday.